Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to DJEP Live, January 2021. I hope everybody had a good New Year. This is our first DJEP Live of the new year. We are going to be talking about documents today, documents inside of DJEP, document templates, I should say. We're going to start off, we got a bunch of stuff I want to try to fit in, but we're going to start off covering documents, settings, a brief overview of those settings, because I know there's some settings that not everybody fully understands. We're going to look at quickly how to build a document and the basics in a WYSYWIG editor from scratch and manage those without knowing HTML or CSS. As well, we're going to work on adding and managing images inside of documents, as well as we're going to cover e-signature settings along with their merge tags. And one of my favorites, sending a one-off or a custom contract template via e-signature. So editing a document and sending that to a client. So as we get started, as always, if you guys have any questions, make sure you post them in the chat box. And of course, we're going to have question and answer towards the end of this webinar as well. So to get things started here, we're going to jump right into it because, like I said, we definitely have a lot that we need to cover. And as soon as I can figure out what I'm looking for here. So jumping into documents, hopefully everybody knows where they're at. You can get to documents through setup and then documents. Real briefly, this here is inside the demo account. And what I want to cover, most importantly on the settings, obviously, these 5 tabs here at the top. Obviously, the content is where you're going to edit the content of your document. Settings, the display name is what it's going to appear to you inside of the system, the document, and your clients will be able to see this display name as well. The document category allows you to categorize your documents, obviously. So when you use a drop-down, you can find a document easier. E-signature settings, we'll cover those shortly. There's a lot more involved with that. Visibility. This is one that I really want to touch on because this could be confusing to some people with visibility. Again, the first section here is the document drop-down display options. You can decide what event statuses do you see this document in the drop-down. So if you navigate to an event, you're looking for a specific document, you can't find it. It's most likely hidden based upon event status or event type. Now, these two down here, I often see users utilize incorrectly. So client portal view options and employee portal view options. If you mark a document as visible in the client portal here, or visible for primary employee only or all employees, that means that this document template will be visible to them when they log in and they look at an event. Why is this important? Because if you have this visible, for example, in the client portal, and when you click the box, you'll get this action that says you understand that this document will be made visible in the client portal to all clients at all times for all event types and all event status values. You really are, there's very minimum use that you're going to have a document that's visible to all clients. And yes, this is being recorded, David, and will be available on YouTube. And can everybody hear me? I see Victor saying that he doesn't have any volume. If you guys want to pop into the chat box real quick, okay. So Victor, you probably just need to unmute. You're going to find that on the Zoom bar where you can set your audio settings. It looks like a little microphone or headphones. So you can either set up to use your computer audio or phone call as well. So going back to these documents, there's hardly ever going to be a reason that you're going to want to have a document template visible to all clients. A few case uses that I could think of, especially coming out of 2020, may be policies and conditions that you want to have your clients be able to access at all times. So a document that's nondescript to a specific event, but is for all clients to see. So if you wanted to provide a COVID update document, you could put a document, make it visible to all clients, and say, send out a message to your clients, you know, hey, a new COVID policies and procedures of how we operate is available inside your client portal. You know, please log on and check it out. But other than that, if you have a contract template, you know, with merge tags and stuff like that, it's going to auto-populate, and the client may see something that you don't want them to see, or same thing on the employee visibility in the employee portal. Employees might see something that you don't want them to see, whether it's finances or anything else specific on that document. So again, these down here are only going to be for small specific case uses again. So, and then lastly, event info form options. This is where you can mark a document template that's going to be used when you print all planning forms. By default in the system, I don't know if I have any set up currently, but if we go to an event and we go to the planning tab and we click print all planning forms or event information sheet, let's pull this up over here. This is one that somebody else has set up in here, but this is the page that would print before all the planning forms. So if you have employees that are able to print the planning forms, that you allow them to print the planning forms, but you don't want them to see financials, or I can't talk today, financials, you'll want to create a specific document template and mark it as an event information sheet, so that employee can only see the details of the event and what you want them to see. So here underneath those documents, to set a document as an event information sheet, you can set it based upon all event types or a specific event type. So again, if you have a specific event information sheet or information that you want printed with the planning forms that you don't want employees to see, or you only want them to see specific information, you design a specific document template for that and have that be printed with the planning forms. So I'm going back to e-signature settings real quick. I'm talking fast today. Again, this is going to be recorded so we can go back over this, and I apologize, but I definitely have a lot of content that I want to cover for you guys and get through. But real quickly, there is videos that cover the e-signature settings on our YouTube page. I encourage you to watch those if you don't know what all the settings are, because we're going to briefly go through these real quick. Obviously, when you set up a document for an e-signature, you can set a document to be expired based upon a certain number of days before or after a date. Something to know is if you use the, what am I looking for? Contract sent date as an option to expire a contract, it's important to know that that date needs to be filled in to the event, or the contract will be invalid. So if there is no contract sent date and you set a contract to expire based upon the contract sent date, the client will not be able to click that link if you send it to them. They'll get this document is invalid. You also won't be able to send it as an e-signature if you try to insert a link like that. Expired document message, you can set a default message, which is just say this document is expired, or you can create a custom message. Same thing with visibility. Similarly, event status options. What events would you like to be able to use this contract for, as far based upon status? Counter signature options. There's 3 options here: disabled, automatically counter signature, or manual countersign. On the automatically countersign, you're going to input your information here, and what's going to happen is once the client signs the form themselves, the system will automatically apply your counter signature to the document. If you use manual counter signature, once the client signs, it'll come into your DJEP inbox with a button on it that says requires manual counter signature. You'll click that notification, it'll pop up in a new window, and you're going to enter your information there that you want to put on the contract. And then with both of these, whether automatic or manual, these actions won't occur until manual or automatically countersign are completed. And where you're going to see that, where those go into the document is underneath the content. Actually, let me grab a actual contract here. Let's go with this one. Down here at the bottom, you'll see these e-signature merge tags. This counter signature merge tag is what's going to populate when you either have it automatically or you click manual. These actions, again, these are going to take place once the document has been signed. So you can update the event status automatically. You can also set a date once it's been signed. You can also utilize a next action or set a next action on the event once the document is signed. And this is something I encourage all users to. If you're not using next actions, you should be. Your next actions are your to-dos for events, and it keeps you on your toes. So it's event specific, and it allows you to stay on top of what you need to be doing for a specific event. Inbox message, mark as read. This is a very, again, small case use. If you don't want to see the contract notification as new inside your DJEP inbox, you can mark it as read automatically. Document visibility, I like this one because with it checked, as soon as the document is signed and countersigned, the contract will become visible inside the client portal. That means the client can log in and get a copy of their contract at any point in time. They don't have to contact you and say, hey, can you send me a copy of my contract? It's just extra work that you don't need to do, and the client can do it themselves. You can also run a booking helper once a contract is signed. This is further automation. We're not going to get too deep into that. Email notifications real quickly. There's two emails that go out, one to the person that signs and one to the client. The person that signs is not always the client. In the case of a wedding, for example, we may have a parent that is signing and paying for everything. So you can have a specific email go to the client and one to the person who signed. Both email templates, whichever email template you choose, will have a copy of the completed contract attached to it. The default email is just, please find attached a copy of your signed contract. And then down here, as far as notifications, who gets notification? Does it go to the master administrator, assigned salesperson? Do you want to receive a text message? And then finally, some custom wording options. These are events, notes that you can have before or after the document, and you can use some HTML in there. Again, that's more for advanced use. The other options allow multiple e-signatures. You can have more than one person e-sign a contract. So again, in the case of a wedding, if you want to have the bride and groom, for example, both sign the contract, you can enable this. But what you need to note is underneath your e-signatures, if you're going to have multiple signatures, you need to add the e-signature tags for the second signer. And that can be found underneath the e-signature merge tags, selecting the drop down, and you'll see second signer, third signer, fourth signer, etc. And you're going to want to put those in the document as well. And the reason why you want those on the document, the system is going to capture that information when they e-sign it. So it's going to capture their first name, their last name, their email address, phone number, and their IP address and their user agent. I like to have it included in the document because when the client prints it out on their end and when we print it out on our end, it will print with that information. So if there's any legal purposes that or any legal things that come up, somebody sues you, whatever, and you go to court, you just need to print off the document itself and it'll automatically already have all of the pertinent information in it. And then last but not least, hide e-signature box. Again, this is a situation for special use. If you have a document that you want to send to clients and they're unable to access it, whether it's an attachment or whatever, but it doesn't need to be signed, you can use the hide e-signature box on a document and then insert the e-signature link to it. And excuse me, when you email it, the client will be able to click on a link to get that document and to view it, to print it, save it, whatever it is, versus having to just e-sign it. This works in cases where maybe if you have a business or a corporation that has a firewall and won't allow emails in with attachments. That's a situation where you can use that, as well as great opportunity for if you have a menu of your services, for example, or a planning guide or whatever it may be, you can send it as a linked document where it doesn't need to be e-signed. They'll be able to click on the link, be able to open it up and view and print and download. So, and interact with that. And then print button, what is the message you want it to say if you want it to say something different than normal. So that was a quick overview of the settings for document templates. Any questions about those settings? Again, if you have any questions, feel free to type a comment in there as well. You can also unmute your microphone and ask a question. I like to keep it pretty interactive as well. So, but go ahead.
One thing that has come up recently with COVID and everything is postponements. So I'm just wondering how that, how would you recommend having people sign a new contract or just update?
Oh, yes.
Just update the existing one, because currently I have 2 contract documents, and I tried to get someone to sign a new contract, but I couldn't figure out how to get them to do that because they had already signed. I couldn't send them a new contract.
Gotcha.
How would I do that?
For sure. That's a great question, Aaron. So yeah, you definitely would want them to sign a new contract because in my cases, it's reconfirming that date, that new date, for example. So how you would get them to do that, for example, and we're going to kind of go over this, touch briefly on how to send an e-signature contract. And we'll get to that here. We'll show you real quickly how you would do it. So let's say this event here, they already have actually 2 contracts signed. So you could resend the same contract basically by using an email template or creating a blank one. We'll just use a blank email template for right now, or you could have a custom pre-created email template. Just select the e-signature, choose a document you want to click it, or I can't talk today, you want to send to them, and insert that link, and that'll generate a new link for that document. So even though they signed it before, they'll still be able to log in and sign it again. Every time you generate an e-signature link, it'll allow them to see that contract again and re-sign it.
Fletcher, may I ask something?
Oh, sorry. Sure, Dennis, go ahead.
I just wanted to let you know that if you do that, you should go in and re-edit the date that you sent the contract, because
Yes.
if it was over past due, it wouldn't allow it to.
Yes, absolutely. 100% correct. I would agree with you. You want to update that. And if you guys are wondering where the date sent is, you're going to go to edit on the event, and it's underneath the booking tab, and you're going to have your contract sent date right here. The easy way to do it is to create a booking helper. And we do have a tutorial video on how to send a contract with a booking helper. And I would personally use that booking helper again, or duplicate it and create a COVID, new contract COVID, whatever you want to call it, for your own records, and have that automatically update that contract sent date.
What I ended up doing with that particular, with all my postponed contracts, is I just went in and I changed the initial, what was it, the event date.
Gotcha.
So on their end, they see that they already have a signed contract with a new event date. They don't have a new one.
Well, even if you change the date, once that contract's signed, their signed contract will not auto update. You can't edit a document once it's been signed.
Because I went into this particular client just recently, and I saw that the contract, the old contract had the new date on it.
Interesting. That is something I'd have to look into, actually.
Okay.
Because it's not supposed to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I went in, I confirmed before I emailed the client saying, I just changed the date of your, and I've done it with probably 6 or 7 events now.
Let me try something here.
And every time it works, so.
That might be something we want to fix here, because technically speaking, once a contract is signed, any changes legally speaking need to be approved by the client. No, that didn't change the date. So we might want to connect outside of that, because it shouldn't be changing the date, and want to make sure that the process is correct. So if you want, shoot me a quick email and we'll kind of go from there. So make sure that's running correct. Yeah, because legally speaking, perfect. Yeah, because legally speaking, you don't want to edit a contract. You can't even delete these contracts. And you can't edit it for those reasons. And any changes, again, you want to have the client sign a new contract. Even if you have an upsell with a client, I will have them sign a new contract, agreeing to that, paying for those additional services. It protects you and the client. God forbid you didn't provide full services, or they tried to argue that they didn't want the additional service, whatever it may be. So, but yeah, we're going to get into sending. That was a brief, quick thing of e-signatures. We'll kind of go over that a little bit quicker. A couple important things I wanted to touch on. Working with documents inside of WYSYWIG editors. There's a few tips and tricks that I want to cover real quickly so that you guys are aware of. This is a way that you can build out contracts and document templates without knowledge of CSS or HTML. Obviously, if you have HTML or CSS knowledge, that's great, because you can get a lot more unique with your documents and build comprehensive documents. Again, all the document templates are built based upon HTML. So you have that ability to fully customize however you like, but it also runs smoother on the system and makes things easier for us and the clients in that part. So building out a document template, the things you want to think about is the layout of the document. Obviously, it's going to be a rectangle, 8.5 by 11. When you're building out a document here in the WYSYWIG editor, you have these icons up here. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. If you're not sure what it is, it'll show you what you can do. If you do want to edit the HTML, you can click on the source button and you can edit the HTML from there. The biggest thing, especially when building documents, is making it look good. The layout is even. It looks good on a mobile device and it prints well. So the real big thing I want to cover is the responsiveness of it, being to building out something inside of a WYSYWIG editor. The basics behind it are building it out in a table. So when you're building out a document, you want to create an initial table and you want to do one row, one column. And that's going to be the border or outline of your document. On the width, when you're making things inside of the WYSYWIG editor and you want it to be responsive or look good on mobile devices, etc., instead of using a straight number, this 500 here would refer to pixels. We want to set it as a percentage. And since this is our outside box, we want to set the width at 100%. The height will auto move up and down based upon the content that we put into it. Headers, if you think about Excel, if you put in yes, that'll give you a first row header across the top. If you put in a first column, that'll give you headers along the left side, or you could do both. That's great if you're building out a data table, for example, but because we're designing a document, we don't want any headers in this for right now. Cell spacing is how much space is between each individual cell, and cell padding is how much space is between the data and the outside of the cell. You can also set alignments here of left, center, and right, and that's going to control the alignment of the content within that table. Caption is kind of like if you're doing an image caption, it's not going to be used a whole lot. Same thing with summary. And there's a few advanced things here. So we'll show you that in a minute. But we're going to throw this table in here. You'll see that there's a border on it. If there's something that you want to change with this table, you can just right click it and click on table properties. And if we got to get rid of that border, we can simply put border size at 0. And you'll see that it still is a light outline of a border. That's simply for you while you're laying things out so you can visually see it. Now in here, you'll notice that it's 100% wide. My problem with it being 100% wide is if we have somebody in a wide monitor, it's going to continue as far as they expand that. So one little bit of information you can use, which is a little bit of CSS, is if you go to the table properties and you click on the advanced tab, there's the ability to add a style on here. So for me, I would add what's called a max width, and that's really the only one you need to know. You want to set that max width to something that is pertinent to what we want to do. So for me, I'm thinking 8.5 by 11 because that's what we print documents on, of course. So the max width, or 8.5 in pixels, is 2,550 pixels. And that's at, to not get technical, 300 DPI, which is higher quality. What that'll do is that will prevent that table from expanding beyond 2,550 pixels wide. And you can set that at anything you want. You can play around with it. The next thing that you would do from here, so this is the outside of your document. That's what you want to think about. And again, what that means is that this is that table is going to minimize as we minimize our screen, which is great for mobile devices. The next thing to do is say, for example, if you wanted to put content next to each other, here you would insert another table inside of that. And let's say we want to have a logo on the left and text on the right. We just want one row, and we're going to make it 2 columns. Border size, again, 0. And we're going to make this width 100% because we want it to expand the full width of the outside table. And now you can see that this table is in here, but it looks weird because we can only see, we see 50-50 here. But if I start putting a bunch of content in here, you'll notice that this cell starts growing bigger. So to do that, to control it and manipulate it a little bit, and we actually just deleted that table. There we go. Find ourselves, good old Control Z. There we go. I accidentally deleted the table cell altogether. So now that that's over there, what we're going to do is you can right click in this box and go to cell properties, and you can set this width to 50% because we want it to be even left and right, for example, on this one. Oh, we'll set it to 50 here and then drop it down to percent here and click OK. Now you notice that came back over here. We can do the same thing on this side. And now no matter what amount of data we put in there, instead of expanding left or right, it'll grow up and down. So do 50% on this side. Now, you can build this out continuously. So you want to think about each document with blocks and put them again inside of this external table. But I don't want to cover too much time on this because we could probably cover like 2 or 3 hours on just building a document in WYSYWIG editor. The next thing I kind of want to move to is managing images inside of DJ Event Planner documents. And there's a few tips and tricks for that as well too. So say we wanted an image over here on this left side. With our cursor inserted here, we're going to click the image icon. And we need to insert a URL. Again, all images have to be hosted on a third-party site. So I'm going to go to this test site I have. Let's say this is my website and this is my logo up here. In order to get that URL, all I need to do is right-click on it, click copy image address. We'll go back to our document template and then paste that URL in here. And that'll give us a preview of it. We'll be able to see the width and height. So if we want to make this smaller, we can. My suggestion is always, you don't want to take a smaller image and make it bigger because it's going to ruin the quality of the image. You could take a bigger image and make it smaller. Also, when it comes to inserting images, you want to insert an image that's close to the final size that you want. And the reason being, whether it's inserting into an email template, a document template, even on your own website. Because what's going to happen, even though you resize it, this resize is taking place after the image is loaded. So when somebody is viewing that image on your site, if they're loading a web page, loading the document, loading that email inside or an email template, it's still going to load that really large image and then shrink it down. So you really want to serve an image close to the actual size that you want. So if you have multiple images on your site, if you had a big logo and a small logo, instead of using the website editor or HTML or CSS to make that image smaller, crop that image outside of your website and upload that smaller image. That's going to help you with site load times. Same thing for email templates and document templates as well. So if you're not already doing that, that's definitely something that you want to think about on all those different platforms. But once we have the image in here, you'll notice underneath, there's a couple other options here. You can add a border to the image if you want. The horizontal space is how much space is on the left and right of the image. So if we wanted the image to have any content around it and give space around it, we can do that. Same thing with vertical. Vertical is top and bottom. And this is based upon pixels. You can't change whether it's pixels or percentage here. But I'm going to show you an easier way to do that. You can also use the alignment here to align it left or right, but there is no center. What if you want an image centered? Because this looks kind of silly. Say if we had our contract title over here, let's just throw some stuff in here. With the text, we can, let me do this real quick. I make that heading 1. Text, we can center text. But if we come over to this image, the center is grayed out. I want this to look even on left and right. When you have an image inside of a cell or inside of a table, you can actually center that image by right-clicking on it. You can click on cell properties, and you can use the horizontal alignment, left, center, right, or justify. If you center it here, it's going to center the image. So we're going to center the content that's inside that cell. This is important to know not only for documents, but if you're building out HTML email templates. In HTML email templates, not all email programs will load or read CSS styles. So it's important to know how to center an image, not only on a document utilizing a table cell, but also in emails. And I don't know why they do this. They're all different. You want to check it it's best to build it out as a table instead of using HTML or CSS. And that's really the bulk of what I want to get into here, because again, we can cover about 3 hours of just editing a document, building out a document inside of DJ Event Planner. Any questions about any of that information that we just covered? Rock on. If you have any questions that come up, of course, post them in the chat box, or feel free to unmute your microphone. The next thing that we're going to cover is e-signature, sending a document via e-signature. We're going to cover this kind of quickly again, because I have a video available on YouTube covering that. To send a document via e-signature, there's a couple different ways to do it. The old school way is what we just did: navigate to an event, click on the email tab, choose an email template. Hopefully you have a document template already. I don't think I have one in here, but you can start with a blank template and click the e-signature button, and then click choose document, select your document, and then insert the link, edit your email template, and then send it off. That's just too much work. For sure. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second, Victor, when we run through this here. So the easiest way is to, of course, create an email template. We're just going to create a quick email template here. And if you guys aren't already doing this, definitely suggest doing that. Oops. Wrong content. There we go. So let's create a quick email template to send a contract. I don't know if there's one in here already. We'll just call it that. Give it a quick title for us. Now we're going to do a new category of 01. I'm doing the 01 so that it's up at the top. So here I have a line to insert e-signature link. You're going to click the e-signature document links button again. You're going to select the contract that you want it to go to, or to be linked to. So we're going to use this one here. We're going to insert that, and then we're going to save it. So now we can simply go to that event, select this email template, and everything will be pre-populated, including the link. Now to note, this only sends to this document every single time. So if you create a new document template, or if you have a multiple version of a contract, you need to create an email template for each version of the contract that you have. That's very important. I know I've seen some users who are like, I keep sending the e-signature contract, but I keep sending the wrong one. You got to make sure you create an email template specific for the contract that you want to send. Once you have that email template, obviously the next step in making life easier is to create a booking helper. And we have one set up here already: send contract wedding DJ. Again, in this booking helper, we have it set up to update the event status to contract sent. We send the email contract e-signature weddings. That's obviously a different one I have in there. And this one, we have a few tests in there of where else it's going. And here you can set the contract sent date automatically. So that's great if you're, again, having to resend a contract for a rescheduled event. You can utilize a booking helper to update all that stuff, and it makes it easier. That way you just navigate to an event that you want to have, that wants to be booked. And once you've made sure their financials are in order, just click the, let's show all here because it's hidden based upon the status. Send contract, boom. The email was sent, status was updated, and the contract sent date was updated. Victor, what was your question regarding e-signatures? If you want to unmute yourself. It looks like you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. He'll fix his audio. Perfect. No problems. The one I really, really wanted to get to here, because this is going to lead into another video down the line. Speaking of which, as soon as I remember how to do this, just have a poll as well with just a few input questions if you guys want to answer that. That's been put into, you should see that, I think, in your chat. You can fill that out anytime by the end of the video. So important one. So what happens if you have a contract template, you have a client that, and we've all had this client, I'm sure, that says, can you change a term in your contract? Whether they're a lawyer, a legal student, or they've talked to a lawyer and they're like, we want this term reworded, we want this term ixnayed, whatever it may be. How do you do that? Well, one way to do that would be to create a duplicate document template, then double up everything you've already done, and then send that one just for that specific client. Pain in the butt. So the easiest way to do it is navigate to the event. Bozo the Clown's probably perfect for this. He doesn't like a term in our document. So before we send him the e-signature document, we're going to go to the Documents tab under his event, click on Save Document. We're going to select our contract that we want to send him. And it'll open up in an edit window. And we can edit this document however we see fit. Let's just pick a term they don't like. Let's just say they don't like the limit of liability, whatever the term may be. You can either completely delete it, or I like to just cross it out, and we'll put removed. Anything. Company name, or you could put company name, initials, whatever you want to put in there. And then when we save this document, it'll be saved to the event here. Now we can go to our email. We can go to send email. We can select our contract template. And this is the original link, the link to the original document. What we want to do is we want to insert a link to that saved document. So we can delete that link, click the e-signature tab. Underneath choose document, our first documents here will be stored documents. You notice this first one is invalid. You won't be able to select it because it's based on the date generated. It's already expired, basically. It tells you right here, the date generated based expiration. But this is a contract that we saved. We can now insert that link, and they'll be able to go and sign that edited document. Now, the only thing here is if you utilize a booking helper to send your contract, you will have to manually do that or set up a booking helper to do those things that you would normally do. So as far as changing the date, the contract sent date, you could do that here. Then there's a couple different ways that you could do it. You could also do it by running a booking helper after the email template is sent. So it all depends on what works best for your workflow. This is also another great way if you have a big question that a lot of people ask is, how do I send a contract for multiple events? That is something that's on the wish list. However, for right now, the workaround would be the same format. So if you have a client that has a multiple event, you go to that first event in the series, you can edit that document. And you can put the important stuff in here. So you can edit the document. Let's say this is a multiple event. So we could add, oh, I got to click edit first. For example, we'll put event dates. And maybe this event is November 5th, 2021, November 6th, 2020. You get the idea. You can put those dates in there. You can edit this document and make that be so that way the client only signs one document instead of signing multiple documents for dates. So, but we are going to do a live specific to multiple events eventually, as well as we have a bit more training videos and tutorials coming out based upon that. So again, that's all the content I kind of wanted to cover in a nutshell. I know I flew through a lot of it. So any questions, definitely want to open this up to you guys. Make sure I can answer questions specific to you, that you guys have regarding documents or anything within DJ Event Planner. So I know, Victor, you had a couple questions regarding e-signatures.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
Oh, perfect. All right. My problem is when a client try to sign a document and give it back to me. I have everything basically set the way you have it set, but for now, I have the clients type in their name. So it's a text and it has an IP address and their computer and what they use. But I saw that you have the client signature. How would you get the client signature and not just a text? Like,
so this is the text. This is just a font
okay,
that's put on here. So it is just the text. It's the first counter signature first name merge tag and counter signature last name, or e-signature first name. Yeah, I can't talk.
so basically, the way I'm doing it is still good. Then they just type
Correct.
their name and that's it.
Yep, they type their name, their email address, and phone number, and then check the box to agree to the terms, and then click submit.
Okay, that's basically what I wanted to know.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, I just like to use the one of the fancier signature just so it looks nicer instead of just text being typed into the box.
Yeah, but to them, it would be just a regular text with their first name and last name with whatever font they choose.
Well, it's just going to be their system default font when they type it into the box. It's not going to capture their system font. Yeah.
That's what I have. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Just making sure. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I have one more.
Sure.
Fletcher, when you were doing that edited contract, I just want to confirm that only changes that exact copy that you made, and it
Correct.
doesn't affect the templates or anybody else's.
Correct. It's just that template for that, or that document for that client, for that event. So it's not going to edit anything else. That's why it's easier to do it that way. I know a lot of users in the past will go in and go, I got this pain in the ass user that I need to create a custom document for. So they go and duplicate their document template, or they edit their document template, then send it, and then go back and either change their document template back, or then it can get messy. So it's easier this way. Yeah. Yeah. So this is just the easiest way to do it for one client, one event. Again, for those clients that you have that need that specific information. So
a friend of mine would actually make the email the document. Like, he didn't have a document.
Gotcha.
And then he would be able to edit that and send it off. And I don't really know how he did that, because I don't do it that way. Is there anything in that, or would you say avoid doing it that way?
I would avoid doing it that way, because you really want the contract that they sign to be this one, just for legal purposes. Again, the contract's there to protect us and the client based upon the terms. And if the terms aren't in that contract, it's going to be burden of proof is going to be on you with the court to say, well, I sent them in the email and they agreed to it that way. It just becomes an argument that you don't want to have, if that makes sense.
I just have one more question, and then I'll stop hogging your time.
No problem.
Is there a merge tag for the date that the contract was signed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, no, actually, I take that back. Well, it depends on what you set. So it would be date booked. Actually, that's a really good question, Dennis. Why you got to make me think?
I like to keep you on your toes. Let me tell you why I'm asking. There's an email template I send off when someone's officially booked, just to welcome them. And my definition of booked is that the contract is signed and their first payment is made. Right. And so what I do is I do a little summary of the date that one was, like the date the contract was done and the date that the payment was made. They're usually the same, but not always.
Right.
And then a few other details. So I want to have something that stamps it. Right now, I do that manually just so that I know that it's in there.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we don't have one currently. I think it's on the wish list, but I would double check it, maybe add it to the wish list on the support forum. But this is what I have been suggesting. Based upon that right now is, why is my web's running so during this COVID? I bet you it's because my kids are at home playing Xbox right now and probably eating up bandwidth. But going back to that, what was I doing? Totally lost my train of thought. Custom fields. So I'll create a custom field of event date and I'll use e-signature date. And then in the document template, I will have any one of these. I will update that date field here. So that way it'll still appear on that. You can also, so that way it's not date booked. You can schedule emails based upon that date now. So if it's, a reminder that your deposit is still due, you can send it X number of days after e-signature date to an event that has no payments made.
Perfect. Yeah, because I know the information exists, because if you look on the file in the client, it will show you the date. So I know that the information is in the system. I just didn't know how to capture it. But that's a good workaround too.
Yeah, that's a workaround for now. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's on the wish list. I believe I've seen it there. I know it's been discussed somewhere, but definitely you can vote on that on the wish list. If it's not there, add it as well, and see if that merge tag can be added. Because that is a way that a lot of, I'm seeing a lot more companies go that way. They don't consider an event booked until contract and deposit is received. So it'll definitely be beneficial, but that's definitely the workaround for right now. And that's what I'll do is on top of that, I also have a status. I don't know if it's been sent in here yet. I'll make a status, contract signed, no deposit, which actually has to be hyphenated because you're only limited 25 characters in, for a status. So I'll just do contract no DEP. And then I'll have the document update that status once it's been signed and add that date. And then once I make that first payment, whether it's manual, I have a booking helper that's run to add that first deposit, or have it update the event status to booked and change the date booked when that first payment comes in if you're using the payment gateway.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
No problem. You're welcome.
So I guess I have a basic question.
Sure.
What would you consider a legal signature if a person signed it? Would it be the name, electronic, the IP address, the computer they use, or like what do you usually have?
So basic contract law, and I'm going to say basic contract law, depends on what area you're in and what state you're in. Two parties have to have a mutual agreement on something, basically. And that's the base of contract law. And that's where, when e-signatures first came out, that was the big argument is a wet signature versus an electronic signature. Is it legal? Is it plausible? E-signature or contract law wording has been updated to include basically e-signature, going back to the original two parties must agree to something. Some areas and countries do have different laws, so you definitely want to make sure you speak with a legal representative in that area. You can find things regarding contract law on Google, basically. But for me, I always like to include first name, last name, IP address, user agent, and date. And the reason is, and I like to include those merge tags on the document, because God forbid, you're taken to court, somebody sues you and they say, I didn't agree to these terms, or I didn't agree to this contract. You can easily have it printed on that paper. This is your IP address. This is a user agent that you use. You're on your iPhone and you sign through your Safari. It just, again, less burden of proof that you need to do in court if somebody comes up. So that's my opinion. One other thing I wanted to touch base on before I forget as well that I didn't include on my list. If you do have a client that, say you have something that needs to be added to a contract, whether it's wording, something specific, there's a merge tag that you want to have in your field. And I don't know if you guys are doing this yet already, but let's take this contract, for example. Down here underneath contract notes, there's service description in this one, but I also like to have, where is it? I personally like to use merge tag wizard because I can find it a lot easier. There's a merge tag for contract notes, and each event has, it is service description. I'm losing my mind. So service description is contract notes. And what that ties to is when you're looking at an event is, we'll just look at this one for example, is underneath booking. You have internal notes and booking comments, and you have contract notes. And this you can add without having to edit the event. So for example, you have that client where they must provide something additional or something that they've agreed upon. Instead of having to edit the document, save it, and then send it via the saved one, I like to use a contract note section. So for example, this pops up in a new window, and I'll punch in, let's say, for example, oh, everything's hidden. Hold on a second. I need to get you back. Let's just close that for a second. Try this over here. So this opens up here in contract notes. Let's say client is to provide 220 amp circuits within 20 feet of DJ setup, and client is to provide, let's say, covered tent with walls. I don't know, whatever you've worked out with a client that needs to be added. So we can add those to the contract or the client note or the contract notes here. And then when you go to send that document, we'll just print it for right now. That'll be part of the document and part of the terms that they're agreeing to. So instead of having to save it, if it's something like this, where the terms, some part of the template doesn't need to be edited, but something needs to be added additional, you can do that through the contract notes merge tag. That's a great way to have those additional custom things added to a contract without having to edit the contract, save it, and then do the additional work. Any other questions regarding contracts or document templates? And then Neil, I see your question. Is there a way to display on a contract when a discount has been added? Yes. Are you talking about on the contract itself? You know,
Yes.
Add it? Okay. So that's going to be a merge tag. So as you'll see here, like underneath the financials, where is it? It should be on this one. So we have this discounts here. So that's the discounts total. But you can also add the individual description of the discounts through merge tags as well. So when you're on the merge tag editor, or merge tag wizard, you just type in discount. Let me just actually bring this over here. This is a merge tag wizard. You'll be able to find there's a merge tag for discount reason, discount amount, and the discount total. So currently the system only has capacity for 2 discounts. Fields per event. So you could add these merge tags as well to your document to list out the specific reason if you want to include that reason on there as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Yep, you're welcome. Rock on. Any other questions that anybody has? I know it seems like some of our, is anybody from the UK on this chat or in the group? Just curious, as I know that Zoom was having issues over in Europe this morning, as well. Of course, UK is on lockdown right now for the next couple of months, so they're hurting a little bit. I think worse than us than here in the States. But
yeah, I'm from the UK.
Are you? Who was that? Oh,
Yeah.
Lawrence. Hey, Lawrence, how's it going?
Yeah, not so bad. Yeah.
Good. So, is there end in sight for you guys?
We could be getting there. Just they're talking about end of February, starting to reduce the lockdown stuff. So it's
Gotcha.
whenever they decide, really. It's the government. It's basically like a need to know basis. I think a lot of the stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I've been gathering that. I've been seeing a lot of things of, it's a lot of quiet talk based upon the leaders over there, and only if they decide they want to share it with you guys do they.
That's kind of how I've got it and stuff. So yeah, my event plan's been pretty quiet, shall I say, for the last 12 months or so. So, but
Gotcha.
yeah, like I said, I've been doing documents and stuff and been sorting out things, and the tags are really good to use. So I've been sorting all my documents out just after Christmas and stuff. So yeah, so I've been on the event plan trying to get things sorted ready for when we can head out again.
For sure. Perfect. Yeah, hopefully everybody's able to get back to work this year. I know I've already had 1 gig this year rescheduled that to next year already again. That was originally supposed to be last year, but we'll find out what happens. Hopefully things come to now that the antivirus is out, or vaccine, whatever you want to call it. I think an antivirus would be better than a vaccine, but it is what it is.
Well, yeah.
Cool. Rock on. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, just in terms of training, are there going to be more training in the future?
Absolutely. So if you're not if you're not on the YouTube channel yet or subscribe to it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/users/DJ Event Planner. We have this is where live is going to be, or the recording from today is going to be posted, as well as we're working on dropping out a bunch more more tutorials. I do have a tutorial video that is going to be put up. I was waiting until we did this live in regards to sending one-off DJ contracts and working with those clients. And I try to make them a little bit smaller so that they're in smaller bits of piece of information for you. And then hopefully by the end of the year, I want to have a little bit more comprehensive learning center kind of developed maybe. So it's a little bit easier to get the information that you're looking for specifically. Because there is a lot of options inside of DJ Event Planner. So that's one of the biggest things, is make sure that you guys are able to use it to its fullest capabilities and understand how to use it and use it in the best ways possible. So, and if you're not part of the Facebook users group yet either, make sure you jump on there. It's a user to user group. It's just DJ Event Planner users. It's a great place to get ideas from other users, ask questions. And that's also where we announce our DJEP lives and any other additional things that do come up. So hopefully as well, we do usually attend a couple trade shows every year, both here in the States and the UK. We'll see what happens. All the ones in February, of course, have already been rescheduled. Look like some of the next ones are going to be hopefully in April, but we'll find out. So we'll be there where you guys can come and ask questions as well. And sometimes we'll have rooms that will participate in breakout rooms so that you can work on specific things inside of DJ Event Planner. But yeah, rock on. That's my favorite phrase today, apparently, rock on. We haven't been partying lately, so I got to party somehow. If everybody, so next month, again, DJEP Lives are every third Tuesday of the month, unless we're doing something special. We might have something special between now and then. Alex really had fun in December when we talked about the dashboard, so we might bring him back again here soon. I know you guys definitely like to be able to ask questions directly to developers, so that's always fun as well. Next month, I'm thinking about employee management. I know I see a couple different posts on that as well regarding customer reports, so I'll let you know what that's going to be. If there's anything specific that you want to talk about, of course, you can also email through that Zoom information of topics that you'd like to have covered. And of course, if you have any questions, as always, you can find us on live chat Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 Central Standard Time, as well, of course, the support forum. And if you're a premium plus subscriber, you have dedicated email and phone support. So, but with that said, if one last call for any questions, and then I'll let you guys go get back to work. Nope, looks all good. Well, thanks for joining, guys. Hopefully you guys learned something today or helped you get something to make your processes better and running your businesses. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next DJEP Live. Have a great day, guys.